Welcome to the Profit Share Mastery Podcast with your hosts, Linda and Press McKissick.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Profit Share Mastery Podcast. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Press McKissick.
Hey, Press. Super excited about our guest today.
I know. We have a special one for everyone today.
Yeah, we're going to really blow people's minds at who just might be building their wealth through profit share. Robert Bell and I have worked together on many of KW courses. So I've always loved Robert and loved working with him. And I love working with him in this aspect too. So Robert has been someone who has decided that he's going to build wealth and change lives through recruiting to Keller Williams. So I want you to kind of introduce yourself, Robert. Tell them a little bit about your background and journey in the KW world. And then let's talk a little bit about what you're doing to build your wealth through profit share.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really honored to be here. My name is Robert Bell. I am the Director of Core Curriculum Training for Keller Williams University. I work with amazing instructional designers here at KWI who work on courses like Ignite and Bold and Business Planning Clinic and all the courses that y'all have in the field. In terms of profit share and wealth building, I mean, it's definitely been a journey. I learned about it when I first came on. I've been with KWI for 5 years. I'm not an agent, so I was hired on as an employee here at KWI for course writing, and then have gone into leadership over the years. But I first learned about it when I first came on, and it seemed interesting and something that I might want to pursue, but it just sort of stayed in the background for the last 5 years, basically, until I learned about the recruiting sites that y'all had created, and that got me kind of excited because in my mind it solved some of the challenges around profit share for me, which were how do you create leads? How do you get out there and, start talking to people? If I could automate that, that seemed like a really exciting opportunity. So that's why I started in July. And I've so far added 9 people to my downline, which is
awesome.
Pretty great. I'm pretty happy about that. And I think I have like 11 in the pipeline right now, in varying states, but it's been awesome so far. So I mean, I'm excited to talk more about sort of the experience, but it's been a great experience so far.
And I think I heard you even got one from Turkey. Did that come from the websites, or was how did that happen?
I came from the websites, and it was interesting. I had that experience of like when I first set up my Indeed ad of getting a lot of international leads, and it was a challenge because for many of the countries, they're not even the countries aren't even in the list of countries that we would expand into for worldwide. So I did have to say to a lot of folks, like, unfortunately, we don't have an office and we can't help you. But there were a few that were in countries where we do have worldwide offices, and one was in Turkey. And I actually had a conversation with the woman, and she was looking for an opportunity, and I referred her to Emre, who's our awesome regional director in Turkey. And and she's not the only. I've talked to. I haven't added anyone else in worldwide to my downline yet, but I have talked to people in Jamaica and Suriname and other places where I didn't even know. Honestly, I've educated myself about our worldwide regions through this process.
That's awesome, Robert. You better be careful. The worldwide team is going to start asking you to come join their side of the organization.
I mean, it's an exciting opportunity. And I've talked to Lisette before about recruiting a master franchiser. I know that's a bigger deal, but you just never know who you talk to and who they're connected to.
One of the things I would add to my conversations with anybody in countries where we don't have anyone is I would get from Lisette or Bill or anybody over there, hey, who is the ideal candidate that we're looking for to launch these? And I might even give it to some of those people, because you never know the person on the other end. You tell them exactly who we're looking for, maybe they'll go find them.
Exactly.
Right. And they'll bring them back to you, which would be super exciting. I have people in my downline, and I get a little bit of growth share, but growth share is a huge opportunity. So I can't wait. Maybe you're going to help us figure out ways to open this up. We've thought about it a lot. How do we open this up worldwide? So I love your story, and I tell it to everybody.
Yeah, no, I think that's, been one of the most exciting parts that I didn't anticipate. I just thought, I'd start doing this and maybe, add some people in my downline, but it's, I've really enjoyed the conversations. Like that's actually something I look forward to now when I get meetings on my calendar, being able to talk to people around the world or even around the country. It helps me understand what I do here at KWI better. I think it's made me smarter in terms of my understanding of, what agents are looking for, what they need, and it gets me into conversations with more of our market centers. And so that's been incredible.
That's so cool. Robert, what's been, because again, I love your perspective on it. You're not a licensed agent and you're like, hey, this opportunity is something that I can take advantage of. So you jump in. What have been some of the things that you've learned through this process that have maybe made you better at what you do in your role?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. What's made me better in my role? I think, one of the things I've learned is, and I kind of knew this, but this has definitely confirmed it in my mind, is around the CV process and the importance of the CV process. Mm-hmm. So it's something, if I brought anything into this coming in, it's not necessarily, having a knowledge of our courses and our training definitely helps and the value that brings, but understanding, how the questions to ask somebody to open them up. Y'all are right. Like, you don't want to vomit KW all over somebody. That's not what people are looking for. They're looking for attentiveness and for you to ask the right questions to get them to share. So I think that having practice hiring people here at KWI over the last 5 years has helped me a great deal, but it also reinforces the importance of, and it gives me a new perspective on the CV process and how to operate in the CV process. I think it's also just made me, in terms of thinking about our courses, it's made me really think about those from an agent's perspective. We always do, obviously.
Yeah. And
we are interviewing agents all the time, but this perspective of people coming in and looking for that sort of value and asking very specific questions. Like, I got a question about, I was on a call a couple days ago, and the question was, well, I'm new in this town and how do I generate leads? And it brought me to thinking about, well, what is the training value that we offer? What educational value do we offer in that situation? And we talked a bit about, how she could maybe set up seminars and events and things like that. I try not to go too deep because I also realize that's, for the team leader to get into, but, I do bring those things up as they come up, and part of it's just because it helps to keep me smarter about, our educational offerings.
Well, what I love about this is, again, it's what I said before, Press, is, I get chill bumps just thinking about this. We are actually making all of us be on one team. All of a sudden, you now have a vested interest in a person that you didn't know before. And now your wheels are turning of, what do we have to offer that they can immediately get into production? And so therefore, that's going to make you better when you're thinking about courses and what to put in them. Yeah. It really is. And you're probably, like you said, connecting with offices that you normally wouldn't, have the time or do whatever to connect with those people. I love this because one thing we didn't expect on this is how this would bring all of us together for one common goal, is to help the person that's in front of us win at the highest level and change their life in a massive way. So I love this. As I'm listening to you say this, I'm thinking, wow, none of us anticipated that part of it, right? We just knew we were going to change lives because we all love this company. We knew we would change lives. And then I love that fact that you really get the part that really the most important thing to them is them, and the great questions through CV helps you put the focus on them. And you can talk a little bit more when it's a new person about KW, because they really do. They're just like, I need to make money. I've just spent a bunch of money and I need to figure out how to win at this game. Whereas on the existing agent side, we say, look, they don't really care about Keller Williams at all at this point.
I'm also talking to people who've been in the business maybe for years, or some part of the business for years, but they still want to learn more about real estate. And so there is still opportunity there. Like I just talked to a woman who, had been in leasing and property management since 2006 and had her license since 2008, but she's looking for new opportunities in real estate. And so there's still even opportunities with people who have that experience to talk about what we have to offer.
Yeah.
Robert, and I think I was just thinking about this, you might have the best opening rapport builder with anyone. I can imagine Robert's like, he gets on the call. He's like, hey, I'm Robert Bell. My journey at KW is Keller Williams is in the Training Hall of Fame. I've helped written a lot of those courses, and I'd like to help you get into real estate and have success. I mean, it's like, yes, please. I would like to join under Robert because his extensive knowledge.
I really appreciate that. I actually am finding, I have brought that up here and there, but I don't know that that's as impressive.
Yeah, they don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah, I think it is more about I found the more that I'm open and attentive to people and asking them the questions and then coming in with some answers where I have them or pointing them to the resources that they can get, that's the most effective thing. I have of course brought up that sort of stuff, the Training Magazine Hall of Fame stuff, but it's interesting. Like one of the things that we've done here on the KW side is we started a profit share club internally for our department, because I think there's an opportunity, since we know, we know the training and anyone can have these conversations. And I think one of the things I hear is, just like, well, what do I say? And what do I, and what I would say to anybody who isn't an agent, who, doesn't feel like they have the validity with agents, is just learning the questions is like the most important thing. You don't necessarily have to say too much. A lot of your scripts can be around like, hey, when I connect you to your team leader, that is a great question for you to ask them. They're going to have, a training calendar that you can learn about. They're going to be able to answer all your questions on splits and the local market and all of those local things. Sometimes I fill in a little bit too much on my side. I don't think I have to as much. I think you can really just be a listener, and that's right. What people want.
I think people that feel like they have to know too much, it almost becomes a little bit of a hindrance for them, because they kind of wait to get ready instead of realizing that just focus on that other person across from you, and the rest will take care of itself, because that's what they care about anyway. Yeah, I did hear that you guys have that club, and I was excited. I can't remember. I think I was working with the team on, you guys are rewriting the profit share course, and they were getting all excited because they are excited about your profit share club. And so is this something where, because I love this idea, and I think other people should do it also, do you guys hold each other accountable for building profit share? Do you just maybe meet and make sure you talk about it regularly? What does that look like?
So we are still kind of in the early stages. We meet once a month. We started a GPS. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it is just sort of identifying for everyone, like, what are the opportunities around profit share and how might we pursue those? Yes, we do check in with each other, and I think everyone else is early in their journey too. So, but we share whatever we've done. It could be a small thing in the past month, and also whatever we've learned. And we're trying to bring in people. And I would love for either or both of you to join us at some point.
We would love to. I was just going to say, we'd love to come on.
Happy to.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But yeah, I think it's, I wanted to start small in our department, but again, I think it's a big opportunity for anybody in the KW system, anybody at KWI to mastermind around profit share and, learn about just what is the easiest way to get into this, because it doesn't have to be intimidating in my experience now.
I love that.
Robert, you actually realize how cool it is, the position that we enter into with people. They really appreciate, you get on those calls with people, and they are so thankful to have someone who can help be the guide to help them get connected to the right people. There's nothing. It's kind of like someone who's getting married. Like the switching careers is a big life change.
Yeah.
Right? Changing companies is a big life change. So being able to enter in that place and be the person that they can put trust into to help guide them is a really special thing. I'm sure you probably had some calls with people where you got to feel that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing, and it's awesome. And I got a text from one person that came on, and he said it wouldn't happen without you. And I don't think that's true. I just feel like I'm a connector, but like because I think he's going to do amazing anyway. But I think it's great to hear that stuff, and it's also it's great to work with market centers, and they're really grateful. That's another thing I think limiting belief I've heard from people is around, well, how is the market center even going to want to hear from me? Or they're extremely happy when you hand a warm lead to them.
And I think it's gotten better. And I don't know, I don't think necessarily what Press and I are doing has necessarily impacted it, but I do believe I feel a wind of change, and I feel like as more team leaders talk to other team leaders and they hear that this is a great source for them, I think we'll just get more and more buy-in. I'm really encouraged by the fact that, again, I feel like we're all working as one team to do the same thing we all need to do and help each other win. So I think we'll see more and more of team leaders being excited and say, hey, send any you got my way. I'd love to have the help to do this. And I'm hearing a lot of great people that have great potential that, our people are saying, I really think this person's going to do amazing. Right. And remember, we were all new once too. So this is our future of our company. We're helping to build. So it's super exciting to me to see all of us kind of come together on this and make the conversation more on the forefront, because I think more we have the conversation, the more wins we have, I think it's just going to have a little bit of a life of its own. And it should have been done a long time ago. I don't know why we didn't think of this idea a long time ago, but I think it's just going to get better and better.
I'm really glad you did, because I think what you're saying, like when I first came on to KW, I learned that I could be part of this other profit share system, this broader profit share system. What was really attractive to me was the idea that I could be a partner in this whole business, like that seemed like a pretty amazing thing that isn't true everywhere else. And that, the rising tide would raise all ships.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of how I would find my way into that. So thank you all for creating the mechanism by which I found my way into that.
Hey, well, we were excited to see you. We were a little shocked and we were happy, and we're like, wow, we didn't even think about international staff. Shame on us, right?
Yeah.
We should have already invited
you.
No,
not shame on you at all, but like it's not, I would love everyone here to come and chase me, like my goal is to try to build the biggest possible downline. But I would love for everyone to come and chase me.
Yeah, be the lead for them so that they see what's possible.
Well, and Linda, what I love is, sometimes you can think like, oh, the international, I'm not saying this to KW, but just in general, in terms of companies, like what's happening in the field is different than the way people at the big company think about it, right? But what's amazing is, Robert, like what y'all are doing, y'all are practicing what the agents in the field are doing. And I think that is a beautiful thing. Like when you guys are out doing what the agents are doing, which is trying to grow their wealth, their downline, their impact, you guys are doing the same thing. It's going to make our courses better. It's going to make your lives bigger. It helps everything. Like you said, it lifts all boats.
Well, we all understand each other's role a lot better too. It helps us see the other side and understand more like what Robert does, and Robert understands more what agents need and what they're going through. So I love that. So what has been like the biggest surprise? I know when you first get into this, you're not really sure, but what's been the biggest surprise to you about the whole system? And kind of walk us through, how do you do it? Do you time block certain times? How's the logistics work for you?
Yeah. That's a great question. I mean, I think one of the biggest surprises is, just how comfortable I was able to get with it relatively quickly. There was, I think, maybe a month or so of sort of stressing out about it. But at a certain point, I realized like, oh, I don't have to stress out about this. This is actually, pretty comfortable, and I enjoy it. One of my biggest ahas too, by the way, was around sponsorship. And the script that y'all provide from Nick Avila is pretty important to me these days, because at first I would bring it up, but it would just be sort of like under my breath, like, I'm gonna be your sponsor. actually saying the full script and talking about how, we don't have a national advertising budget. We rely on, referrals from other associates to grow this company. And, we call that sponsorship. That whole script puts a spotlight on it so that it's in people's minds. Because I found that was something that was a bit of a challenge early on. Like I would bring people in, but then around the binding sponsorship agreement, like my name wouldn't come up. And I understand because I didn't really shine a spotlight on it. So that was a really big aha for me. And I do that every time now.
That's great.
In terms of my, process, I was at first kind of doing this, all over the place on my calendar. And these days it's pretty limited and I still am able to achieve the results I want. It's like from 5 to 7, I'm open every evening. And, so it's after work hours. That's when I'm open for calls. I actually don't do any weekend calls. I was doing them at first, but, I found that like weekends are really important to me for my, the other stuff I like to do, like the creative stuff and everything. So I just, I just do it on weeknights and that's enough. It's enough if you're getting good leads, if you're getting people, and I've unfortunately been getting folks who are licensed and they're excited to join. That has been enough to get people into my downline for sure. In terms of, follow up and such, I, a lot of it, I do text replacement. So I standardize that. I use, Command to keep track of all my contacts. But, I just kind of do like once, I've talked to somebody, I do the handoff as soon as possible to the market center. And 9 times out of 10, they're ready to be handed off, if they're licensed or close to being licensed. So I do the handoff right away. And then I'll check in like every week or so. But often it happens, in most of the cases of people who've joined in my downline, it's happened really fast, like within a day or two.
Real quick on the existing agents, what do you think is the greatest need that they're going to Indeed to look for an ad, to look for a new company? Is it the lack of training that people are getting? I think that's going to increase as the market downshifts a little bit too. But what do you think is the number one reason someone that is already with a real estate company is going there to look for something?
Yeah, that's a great question. Training comes up for sure. Especially for people who've been in brokerages where they haven't gotten much. I've definitely heard the story now. People they enter a brokerage and they're just handed a FSBO list and said they're told call from this, and that's it. That's all it's not even really training. That's what they get. So just talking about like, oh, there's other ways to lead generate, and we'll train you on all these other ways is a big thing for them. I would actually say the number one thing that I hear about over and over again is the remote thing. People really are looking for that type of work situation. They want the flexibility. They want to, work on their own schedule. So that seems to be one of the most appealing things that stands out to people, is like that part of the Indeed ad that's sort of be your own boss, make your own schedule, is what a lot of people I hear about most of the time, I think.
Well, and Linda, from a technology perspective too, like what KW has done with Command and then Command Mobile. And you're going to see this continue over the next year or two with some of the things on the market center side that they're working on. We're going to move more digital. And so being able for agents, regardless of where you are, because a lot of things, Robert, I know you probably had this, is you have recruiting calls and someone isn't necessarily close to a market center. They're kind of in like a weird area. Yes. And so that can at first feel like, oh man, like I've got to refer them 2 hours away. Well, the reality is the way KW has set up stuff and the way it's going to continue to develop, like it's going to be okay that an agent isn't next to a market center. Like they're going to be able to get the tools they need digitally. And then if they need that physical presence, then they can go.
Yeah.
That's an amazing space we're heading into. And I think that's going to be really a big deal for a lot of people, because that's exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Robert, if I'm sitting at home and I'm like, man, this is amazing. I want to be like Robert when I grow up. I want to go after my unfair share of profit share. What advice would you give someone who wants to emulate your success and go after their profit share?
I mean, I mean, for me, it was just getting into action. It was getting the site, and that I think committing is the first thing, right? Like you have to commit in one way or another. So like getting the site for me was commitment, but whatever you choose to do, it, however you choose to commit, that may be it. Like if it's, if I'm not an agent myself, I'm not speaking to co-op agents regularly, but I'm going to go out to real estate trainings around my area and just start talking to people. I'm going to commit to do that once a month. Then that's your commitment, and you'll start to make those relationships that way. Or I'm going to create a social media presence. Like here's the value that I can offer to agents in my community or my market. I'm going to create a social media presence and set that up and start feeding it, on this regular basis. Whatever the commitment is, that's really all that I did. Like I just made the commitment. I've been following through with it.
Robert, do you think that once you made that commitment and you got into just action, do you find that all of a sudden you start thinking of other ideas and other ways, whereas you might not have thought of those before you made a commitment and just started something?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, totally. And I mean, it becomes the fun part of this too is the entrepreneurial side of it, that, once you have that presence up on, that website up, and you have an Indeed ad, you start thinking about like, well, could I target that Indeed ad to certain spaces? And what's the, sort of A/B test I could run on that Indeed ad to see, which leads, which gets me the most leads or whatever it is. Yeah, it suddenly sparks all of those entrepreneurial ideas, which is really fun. It becomes I think it's a little business, and I know you all have talked about it that way for a long time, and it could be a very big business. You all have built a very big business out of it. And, but, you can start it as just a little business that you're running and treat it exactly the same way.
Yeah, it is like a muscle. The more you work it, the more it's automatic, the more you'll see opportunity, the more you'll identify an opportunity, and the more quicker you'll take action.
Well,
right?
And to that point, Robert, the business side of this, I'm watching what Nick is doing, and Nick's doing the recruiting, right? However, his downline, he's got over 500 people he's brought to the company. He's got actively like 250 plus people in his first level. And he looked down and said, man, what Press and Linda did was really smart. They went out and found me, and I was interested, and they gave me an opportunity to do that.
Yes. Who
in my downline wants to go build their wealth? And so for you, what's cool is as you do this over time and you find ways to pour back to those people, there's going to be a couple of them that may look up and be like, I want to be like Robert, like what he's done is amazing, and I want to go build my wealth.
Yep.
And it's always fun because there's people inside of KW who sometimes they look up and they're like, I like selling real estate, but I don't necessarily love selling real estate, but I love this company. And what you see with the common theme of Aaron Kaufman, Brent Mitchell, and then Nick, they all said that same thing. Like, I like selling real estate, but I don't love it. I love this company. And I want to, if I can find a way to build a business out of this company, that intrigues me. And so that is a cool thought. Like, you can really build a business inside of your profit share.
Yeah. And I said this before our call, we set up this call, but like, I'm very much at the beginning of this. So like, I've only been doing this since July. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to, being at family reunion in a couple of years and seeing the people that have come into the company that are on my downline. So, and having those conversations with them about, if they're interested to build their own downlines. I think that's a huge opportunity.
Especially since you have them in command, it's something where you can stay in touch. You can, do the meetups like we do at family reunion and mega camp with profit share mastery members and things like that. So, and
I haven't had a chance yet because it's all so new, but I have the quarterly call set up in command. So I'm ready to start keeping up with all of them and hearing about their journeys and what their needs are and how their careers shape up.
Well, and you have an advantage because you can point them to classes that other people may not even be aware that we have. And you can say, hey, well, have you taken this class yet? Or have you gone to command and done this yet? So you really have a great value and validity to give to the people that are in your downline over time. So
yeah, I hope so. I believe that too. And I'm excited to be able to do that. I'm just excited to see, people get successful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very fulfilling. Awesome. Well, Robert, we would love to talk to your Profit Share Club at any time. We can help you guys out. We think that's exciting that you're doing that. We love those kind of things. And remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And please pass this podcast along to any Keller Williams agent that you know, because we'd love to share the message of Profit Share and the gift of Profit Share. And have, if you have a guest that you think has a great Profit Share story, be sure and reach out to us at linda@lindamckissick.com and check out all that we have to offer for you to get on board and get committed to building your Profit Share at profitsharemastery.com. And Robert, we can't wait to see your success 6 months from now, a year from now. And so thanks for doing this journey with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Great job, Robert. Thanks.